I convene the June 23rd, 2025 strategic planning meeting to order at 7:25 p.m. Jackie, please call the roll.
Emily Swistar.
Here.
Vanessa Berry.
Here.
Debbie Bryan.
Here.
Josh Martin.
Here.
Karen Larson.
Here.
Laura Paley.
Here.
Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Tatiana Weinstein.
Here.
Will Savage.
Here.
John Ferrari.
Here.
Elizabeth Hopkins.
Here.
Paul Hurd.
Here.
Laura Murphy.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 2 is opportunity for visitors to speak. Public comment is for the general public to address the board. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide public comment. Seeing none, we will move on to item number 3, which is to approve the minutes of the April 9th, 2025 Strategic Planning Committee meeting. May I have a motion and a second?
I move to approve the minutes of the April 9th, 2025 Strategic Planning Committee meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Jackie, please call the roll.
Emily Swistar.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Josh Martin.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Laura Paley.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Tatiana Weinstein.
Aye.
Will Savage.
Aye.
John Ferrari.
Aye.
Elizabeth Hopkins.
Aye.
Paul Hurd.
Aye.
Laura Murphy.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is discussion of the draft strategic plan. Director Weinstein, can you please lead the discussion?
Yes, okay, so I just wanted to thank everybody for your submissions and your ideas, doing the homework. I did make a mistake, I didn't copy a couple of extras from some members, so my copy and paste skills weren't up to par, but you now have them. And I did read everybody's because I received some via email in the body of the email, I received some in Word document form, I received some on Microsoft Edge. So somewhere in the mix, the copy and paste got, but I did read everybody's. So what I did was, and everybody has the copies of all of the submissions, and I tried to, make them all anonymous, same font, everything. But when we move to the actual draft, you'll see a bunch of word salad here. Traditionally, we begin our strategic plans with a president's letter, so I will look to President Swistak for drafting something. Basically, it's just a thank you. Thank you to the members, thank you to the community for taking part in the community survey, the focus groups and things like that. And then the executive summary will include our vision and mission, it'll list our members, it'll talk about our process, kind of boilerplate stuff. It'll give us, our readers, an outline of our district area and population, things like that. But if you go to the next page, you have a very bare bones draft here. Again, I utilized everybody's ideas to create some objectives and approaches. Whatever's here, like the bullet points for approaches, we don't need as many that are listed here. That's up for you all to discuss. We could have more, we could have less. But under awareness, resources, and property, I pulled, a lot of you had very similar ideas. So I tried to even one of the sentences under the approaches, I've taken like a piece of Elizabeth's, a piece of Debbie's, to make one sentence up. So I don't know, President Swistak, do you want to walk through each area, each category? Or do you want to just give me your opinions on points?
I think we probably should walk through each area.
So under awareness, the first objective is increase visibility of current, new, and underutilized resources by effectively disseminating information using various channels. I'm not going to read everything.
No.
And so I've listed some approaches that kind of I took from everybody. So are there any here that don't make sense to you, or you would like to, others that were submitted, would you like to include? Do you think we need 5? What say you?
I feel like the last two could almost be combined into one item. They seem kind of similar in a way to me. But I like them both, so I don't want to eliminate one.
I mean, there's, under the category of awareness, if we like 5 approaches, that's fine. Under another category, we might want just 3 in each category, or 2. You know, it's up to the committee.
Is number 5 too specific? Everything else is more of a like general guideline that then staff would hone what that approach is, and the last one is this is a very specific thing, like campaign, and we will impart upon it.
Right, like you can make it part of number 1.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be something to be part of another one as opposed to like under, or like Debbie said, like as part of sharing successes and positive feedback would be, or I agree with you too, Josh, like it could fit into the first one too, like
And does it sound like it's a super specific because of the did you know?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
like if you took out the did you know, like launch a campaign, would that sound more general?
yes, I think the did you know seems, it's almost as though like
Like it's a very specific.
it's a specific program
Yeah.
that's being pitched, or
So if you took out the did you know and just kept campaign, like launch a campaign across social media
Yeah,
and
like
in-house
that.
standards
I like
and
that.
highlights.
Sure.
I mean, I think we all know what the did you know is, and that's
Mhm.
what we would do,
Right.
but
Right.
I think it kind of leaves it a little bit more open to like new ideas or if something else comes up too.
Okay.
Going back to think about how Debbie said about the similarity between 4 and 5 too. I mean, I know that it's the 5 is just to kind of advertise that we have these other things. But share success stories or positive feedback. So like, is that saying what people have said based on what they've experienced here? So like sometimes how, Tatiana, you share with us if you've gotten specific feedback from a patron thanking us for whatever, like that kind of thing. So it's really just taking that and just sharing it via.
I feel like
I
it
don't know
could
what the
go in
person-
any way, like, oh, here's Debbie, she didn't know she could get her registration for her car, here, like, something like that, like, did you know, kind of, so that's where I kind of see them both, kind of the positives, or, didn't know that I could get, information on my stocks here or something so easily, so I feel like that's kind of the stories we're looking at maybe, for successes, or highlighting, the
I don't remember,
Yeah.
again, when I mixed everybody's up to put into categories, I don't remember whose this was, but when I read this one, I just thought of like video, like sharing, like someone like interviewing somebody and
That's,
sharing their success story, whatever
Oh,
that
okay.
was, but
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't really consider anything outside of print or text, or even if it's mobile, social based. But I think that's a great point that it should incorporate mixed media. Oh,
social media tools.
yeah.
Are there any under approach that we don't want to include? Are there any elsewhere that you think should be included, or are we covering what we need to cover?
I think we're covering, do we need to say more about like how exploring the partnerships would look as we go along? What we'd be looking for with that? Or are we just kind of keeping our options open? I feel like that's.
I think that's the I won't call it a problem, but when you create a strategic plan, you want it general enough that you could include whatever you want to include. If you get really specific, then you're really specific, and everything should be really specific then, so.
In the way I look at it, these are great kind of subject headings if you were to do further bulleted lists with the details underneath. And I agree, that's kind of why the did you know, it doesn't kind of fit. So if we remove that and make it a campaign, then we could add in all of those other points that you brought up if we wanted to be more detailed about, for instance, what the partnerships look like.
Or like I like this idea of like create a library ambassador program, like that could be listed.
Right, exactly,
Mhm.
but we don't have to enumerate it
Right.
right now, just to give ourselves more
And the board can
flexibility.
direct the
Yeah.
director to, we want, as part of this bullet point under approach, we want you to generate an investor program or something like that
Right.
down, 6 months into the year.
Question on the second bullet point, survey new avenues of promotion which may be useful in reaching community members that may be underserved by our current promotional approaches. I'm not sure I'm understanding what that means exactly with survey. I don't know if I'm just,
Would you be more comfortable with the word investigate?
Or explore, well, we're using explore.
We're using explore.
Yeah.
maybe, I think survey to me is so like, I'm just picturing
You're
a survey.
asking like a
and
paper
so
and pencil, like, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
so
it
it's
caught me
tripping me
first
up.
too, yeah.
I like it.
So investigate.
Mhm.
And looking at the yellow highlights on the other, the handout that we have, when it talks about, and tell me if you think this is covered already in the other, in the draft, but where it talks about showcase materials, collections, and services with a focus on how to access, step-by-step process, location of the library, et cetera. Do you think that that's like, is there a way that we could add that into bullet point 5, that campaign, so it's not just lesser known programs, but it's also how to access things? Like it just added that as another thing, or do you feel like that's covered someplace else?
You
Or is that
guys,
too specific?
I say you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but we have stuff move around enough
Okay,
that like we just move your book club in a bag, yes?
correct.
And we just moved graphic novels and new services.
Okay,
So like it's
so
not
location is not stagnant.
yes, yeah, it's not it will be in the same general area, but to like really like say this is exactly where you
Yeah.
go, we'd have to roll that up
Okay,
or roll it over a lot.
okay. That makes sense to me.
But maybe just if we add resources, so highlights lesser known programs, services, and resources
Where do you want that?
in the last bullet point.
So
Can you read it to me, how you'd like it to be worded?
So, launch a campaign across social media, newsletters, and in-house signage that highlights lesser known programs, services, and resources on a recurring basis.
We do have the entire next section is called resources.
Resources, yeah.
Mhm.
But, I mean, this is about awareness of
Awareness.
everything,
Right.
so we can add word resources there, I think.
It's a nice segue then. Here are the resources we're talking about.
Do we need to be more specific? We have across social media, newsletters, and in-house signage. Do we need to specify that we have both digital newsletters, but then we also have the paper ones that come in the mail? Like, do we want to make sure that we are sending, like the e-blasts, that we're sending electronic newsletters as well? Or do you think we'll remember that newsletters is some print, some digital?
I think we'll remember.
Mm-hmm.
Others? Yeah. Okay. Anything else under the awareness?
Okay,
go ahead.
I'll read the resources objective. Support and promote lifelong learning by providing inclusive materials, programs, and services while enhancing access to all resources. And then we have 3 areas of approach to promote to our resources, materials, programs, and services. So let's tackle materials.
Just a general statement that I really like the objective there. That's my first. It's just really concise, effective.
I will say that almost all under materials, programs, and services, it was hard to create a sentence that was different because everybody wants us to poll and survey our people or
Right.
the programs, resources, and services. So whether it says conduct recurring polls, actively solicit feedback, and then I don't know, request community input. So that was my thesaurus mind trying to
Yeah,
think of
that's-
ways
Mhm.
to.
Make them sound different but similar. I think that's
Same
good.
thing.
But everybody had that kind of request of us in our strategic plan, so under materials, we have 3 approaches. Are we missing anything? Do we like what we see?
The first bullet point is a little interesting, only
Not very interesting.
not very interesting, only because so much of that is just like we understand high demand titles from what we expect of our librarians when they're doing their collections. Plus, we have holds. That's how we can track high demand titles there.
Mhm.
It's kind of like it's already done.
And
Yeah.
it's just it is your job description to do all that as part of collection development.
Right.
Not that we couldn't make a survey or conduct a poll to do it, but
That's
setting a
really
time to
good
do it
point.
once a year as opposed to when everybody just does it on a
Right,
daily
right,
basis.
yeah, because people are going to check out titles far more than they're going to fill out a survey, and we're already going to know
Yeah.
we can't keep this on the shelf
Right, and
or
that's
can't
what
keep it checked
statistics are
in.
for, you
Right.
can see what,
So-
electronic versus hard.
Yeah.
To that point, so part of strategic planning, and I remember this from our last go around, it's not just letting the public know, these are the new things we're going to do, it's also affirming what we do and
That's
sharing
true.
with the public that this is a focus area where we're focusing our attention on materials, programs, and services. So if we got rid of conduct recurring polls and surveys and just started with identify high demand titles, topics, authors, and languages for new acquisitions, does that make sense? for
Correct.
people?
Yeah.
I think
Is
so,
there-
I think that's.
Is there any opportunity to recommend, this happens through Libby and through the other online apps, but what is the vector for recommending something that is a high demand title that is not maybe aware to everyone?
We receive emails and we have forms at the public service center.
Yeah, and can I interject? Actually,
Yeah.
Aspen has a wonderful feature that if you're searching for a title and it doesn't pop up, there's a box that says, I think it's can't find what you're looking
Right.
for, make a suggestion, and then I get a ding.
Okay.
So that's another new overlay.
So if you don't want to come talk to us or call us up, you can do it online.
I was thinking more the opposite direction, we know what's high demand, but if it's constantly out and someone's like, I've got a hold on this one, have you thought about this? Because it's similar. So it's only referencing tangential or recommended works, but we know it's high demand. If it could be high demand or might be in the same vein, do we recommend? Is that something that we would want to say? We can also proactively recommend materials that are similar to the high demand materials.
Which we do, it's just a service that we provide
Okay.
rather than a resource. But that's a good point.
Okay. So then maybe that goes in the services. I don't know. Or maybe that's already covered in the expand avenues.
Yeah, that's usually I've jump in, but especially when people approach the desk and are looking for a book, you can't find it that is 1A when
Okay.
you're talking to a patron about hey, we don't have this one, but this one is by the same author, really good or similar.
Sure.
That's part of the interaction that we strongly encourage.
On
around
top
our
of,
desks.
Aspen, a novelist, and a number of other services that
Okay.
will help you find.
Got it.
And when you do a search in Aspen for a specific book or author, it'll come up on the side and tell
Right.
you similar authors that you can always investigate through the novelist service that we offer.
All right.
So do we starting it with just the word identify, just so we
I
can let
think
people
so,
know
definitely.
this is what we pay attention to?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else? In this category. Okay. Moving on to programs, we've got 3 bullet points there.
Just a grammar thing. Should it be expand weekend programs and utilize outdoor locations?
Or
For
more.
utilization of, I don't know.
Or do we condense that down to 2 bullets and just say expand the variety and accessibility of programming, including weekends and outdoor locations?
Say that again.
I'm just asking if we want to condense 2 and 3 into
Oh.
one singular bullet and only have 2 under programs.
I like it as 2.
Okay.
And it's you want utilize,
Weekend programs and.
utilize outdoor locations.
And those-
I
Or do
think
we
the
want to
utilization
increase
of outdoor-
use of or outdoor locations? Because we already do utilize outdoor locations for programs, correct? I mean, we do the.
Right.
Right.
I also want to make sure that it's distinct that we're not saying weekend outdoor program,
Right.
Mhm, right,
Weekend.
yeah.
comma,
Mhm.
and outdoor
Mhm.
programming.
If it's in the utilization of outdoor locations, then it makes it 2 separate ones, but if it's in utilize outdoor locations, it makes it sound like it's the weekend programs are outside.
Right.
Okay, there we go.
Got it.
And the utilization of
Okay.
outdoor locations.
One of the things that I was seeing in here in the yellow part that wasn't in there, there's about mentioning the friends and foundation groups. And that's something, that came up in some of the surveys was people had said they miss how we used to do, like the friends used to do that, the music.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we want to put something in there about that, or I guess it's kind of contingent upon
Yeah.
the Friends Foundation situation. And so
I'm not sure I would
I don't know if we want to put
attribute
that
it.
in here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would attribute it to any local organization because they change.
Yeah.
Right.
But if the committee seeks to, I mean, it's kind of implied under increase the variety and
Mhm.
accessibility, that's very general, but if
Okay.
you wanna get a little bit more specific about certain types of programs, you can.
I think they missed the music. I don't think it was the friends providing the music
Right.
that they missed, so I
Just
think, yeah,
The
that's,
nature of
right,
the program,
right, I
not
think
who
so.
put it on.
Right, that was just the,
Maybe
yeah.
cultural programs or cultural and cultural,
What?
music is cultural.
So again, here's the thing, so right now, it's just increase the variety and accessibility program, which is very general.
Yeah.
And then we could then, while, I don't know, creating new programs or whatever we're doing, say this is how we're supporting this part of the
Mhm.
strategic plan, and we don't have to be so specific in here.
I
Right,
agree with your latter approach.
Yeah, okay.
I think.
Well, yeah, you
Helps
don't
to
wanna
talk through
say
it.
that you're
Yes.
gonna do something and then, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Say, I'm gonna target a specific group because that'll stand out and then
Right.
somebody else will say.
Yep.
And something to think about also
Yeah.
while we're walking through this
Mhm.
is that things pop up, like new trends happen in the world and
Right.
then like I'll use pickleball, it doesn't relate to us, but
Mhm.
it is so big now and it popped up somewhere in the midstream of a year and the park district had to adapt.
Right.
And so like we too,
Mhm.
Yep.
something blows up in library land, there's a way we will walk that direction and having something more general allows us to do
Yep.
that.
Mhm.
I agree.
That makes sense.
Should we mention something about being adaptable then, under programs?
What would you suggest?
I'm not really sure, but you use the term adapt, and that is true. Do we want to, we're going to be general here, but maybe that would be an additional.
We
Yeah,
can just add
remain
something like
open and adaptable
or
to
in
current trends or something.
in response to community needs,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
I like remain adaptable as like another bullet point maybe.
Mhm.
In response to community needs.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, something that tripped me up a little bit was to increase accessibility. I don't really know, how do I do that? Does that mean more programs offered during different times of the day? Does that mean literal,
I
like
think that's
physical accessibility?
It could.
We can leave it very open, but I don't know how to increase that if I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean?
That's when Josh brought up putting the two together, that's where my brain went. Like the accessibility, in order to fulfill the accessibility requirement, could be expanding weekend programs or
Yeah.
could be using different
Right.
locations. So if maybe because now if we're gonna add this remain adaptable one, maybe we do put these two together because I think 2 is fulfilled by the accessibility, or like that's how you fulfill 3 is by doing something you can do with
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, I mean, accessibility programs can also mean outreach at different
Mhm.
places in Lisle
Mhm.
too. What do we want?
Maybe.
Well, and I think you respond to what was in the survey too, that we see, then we kind of go back and look and see, well, what was, when we did the community survey, what was some of the things that people were looking for as far as programming or information, and kind of start from there, I guess, is how I would see that. So that it's not specific, because there's people that ask for adult programming, children's programming, or, different things. So maybe that's where you start to figure out what to do, and I guess see who shows up. Go from there.
So do we wanna merge the last bullet point under programs with and remain adaptable in response to community need, or do we want that as its own bullet point?
I think you could put it together.
Or leave that as one and then combine the last two bullet points. Like increase the variety and accessibility of programs. For example, by expanding weekend programs and utilizing retro locations.
I was gonna say in order like we just talked about, increasing the accessibility, a way to do that is expand weekend programs, and a way to do that is utilizing outdoor space. So
So 2 and 3 as one?
I think we just get rid of 2, and if we want to add the adaptability, because I mean we could list
That's-
different ways to
Oh.
increase
I like
accessibility
that,
forever.
I
because
see what
I
you're
was,
saying.
2 is a little bit more specific, so then
Right,
2 would
yeah.
end up as we further develop being a bullet point
Mhm.
I see,
under
I
the
see.
third one, and then we keep the additional bullet point about maintaining flexibility to
Mhm.
community,
Yes.
like,
Okay,
Okay.
so we have still 3, but we got rid of 2.
okay.
Okay,
I
so
think
what
that's
was,
good.
what was the third final one? Remain adaptable?
Remain adaptable in response to community needs.
I like that, there we go,
And then.
We're all good.
Mhm.
I like that.
All right, services.
Okay, services, we have 3 bullet points here. Again, this will be prettified and we'll work with President Zusek and creating something a little better, but we may not have bullet points, it'll look a lot nicer the next. And my hope is that we have one more meeting to finalize.
On bullet number 1, I don't know that I understand the last part of that sentence, via direct communication to the largest possible audience. Does that mean how do we find that out? Is it just everyone?
I pulled it because frankly, when we talked about materials and programs, services are kind of like the public service desks offer services. We have home delivery services. We have the Illinois license plate sticker services. We have notary services. So services is very broad and it's very varied on how we offer it. So it's hard to quantify. So I pulled this first bullet point in here because I thought it was interesting that improve and enhance our online presence and user experience via, again, this is awareness, I think, but I don't know about the largest possible audience. To the broadest audience, I don't know. And I can't remember again who selected this, but I just put it in here for discussion purposes.
I do like broad better than large, just.
Do we even want this one? I mean, we don't have to keep any of these.
So if we keep it, I think we just put a period after experience.
I would like that, I think that works.
After experience.
Yeah.
Just explore ways to improve and enhance the LLD's online presence and user experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that works.
Okay.
And I was wondering if there'd be a better word to use than hone for the second point.
Yeah.
Not quite sure what that would be though.
Along those same lines, I'm confused about the expand to new avenues. What is that?
Should we adding, like, we could look at or like different things like that, is that what you're thinking, like we're looking into more service, okay.
This was not my.
Okay, just like looking into more services that we could offer the public, I guess, is, you know, like, as a thing.
I'm not sure that
yeah.
means more services,
No.
I think it means just,
Meet the
honing procedures to make sure they're meeting the needs of people and because they might change.
Yeah.
But do we, I mean, that to hone means that it sounds to me like we're having to kind of fix something, or it's really complicated, and I don't know that that describes our services. I think it's
How about
pretty straightforward. Optimize, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, you go in and you get your license plate sticker, it's just right there, or you get your museum pass. I mean, it's not like, it seems like it's a complicated process, so I don't know.
Okay, I'm still not understanding the new avenues, so
Yeah.
I need help with that. Does anyone?
I do like the sentence in one of these, expand service offerings where logistically and economically feasible. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
I think that's what expand new avenues is trying to say in
Mhm.
fewer words.
I do like optimized service procedures because I think, and I'll just use notary as an example. We have one notary here at the library. We might need to train somebody else. So like that's an optimizing because we're seeing such a demand. That's a for instance.
What if we just remove that expand to new avenues clause there and just say optimize service procedures for residents' everyday needs?
Well, what was that, Vanessa? What was that?
I liked,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
Or that.
the last sentence in the yellow under services. Expand service offerings where logistically and economically feasible.
I would probably just make word feasible.
Yeah.
Logistics and economics sounds a little cumbersome.
But I think if we want to stick with that like idea of whatever the next license plate sticker service is, like whatever it is out there, it is one of our goals to find that thing eventually and incorporate it. That expand service offerings where feasible or whatever we fits, at least that sounds a little more to the point than explore new avenues or expand to new avenues.
I almost think we could, in number 2, leave off the expand new avenues and add it to number 3. So request community input and expand services to ensure the LLD remains a vital community institution. Expand
Or to
services where
reflect the
feasible.
needs or of the community, the current needs of the community.
So the second would just be expand,
Optimize.
optimize service procedures. Do we still want word feasible?
No.
Or would it just be optimized service procedures? It would just be
It
that.
could just be
Optimize,
that.
optimize service procedures for residents' everyday
To
needs.
fulfill residents' everyday
To
needs.
fulfill, oh, I like that, I like fulfill. That's a
Okay,
good
and
one.
if we're doing everyday needs, that's one word. When it's an adjective like that, it's one word.
Every
not
day.
two.
You mean, right?
Everyday needs.
Every day is, yeah.
It's one word, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, when it's an adjective, it's
All right, and then, so number 3 is request community input on current and new services to ensure LLD remains a vital community institution. So we want to say, request community input on current and new services, service offerings whenever feasible.
Or request community input on current
and
And
Mm.
potential.
and potential, sir? Potential.
I know, because it's.
Current and
I don't like
expanded, I don't
potential.
wanna make it sound like we're going to expand services.
How about proposed?
Ooh.
Request community input on current and potential.
Proposed services.
I like proposed better. Potential implies that we're just gonna open up the floodgates.
Right.
And
Right,
anyone can
yeah, right.
Proposed sounds like
Potential.
we're doing them though,
well, it would be like
but we're asking input,
we
right?
find something and ask for input as opposed to like,
Right.
hey
Hey,
Paul,
this
what
is
do
a
you wanna do?
potential service, we
Like,
can do this. Yeah, right. Okay.
Okay, so request community input on current and proposed services
Mhm.
wherever feasible? Is that where we're putting it?
I don't
Well,
know, I don't think we
No.
necessarily
No,
need
I-
it.
I don't think we,
Okay,
I like the ensure that.
Yeah,
LLD
I-
remains vital.
Okay.
Same.
okay.
Specifically
So
I
it
wrote
says, request community input on current and proposed services to ensure the LLD remains a vital community institution.
Okay.
I'm kind of stuck on proposed right now, because I feel like, again, that is saying that like, we have proposals. Yeah.
Well, I think
Potential, possible.
the way I think about it is we're proposing the services, not other people.
Yeah, like Paul will go to a conference and find that like, hey, some libraries in the area are doing X now. Like, this brings it to the leadership team, and we all say, this sounds cool.
Right.
Maybe we'll solicit some feedback from the community and see
Right.
if, while this works for Grays Lake, might not work for Lisle.
Right.
So proposed in that
In
manner.
that manner.
Yeah, that's the way I understand that too.
Okay.
Well, I don't necessarily think it, I think it could come from community members too, you know, if somebody had an idea.
Well, right, because we are asking them from time to time for
Yeah.
their input.
Are we good then under resources? That whole,
Mhm.
okay,
Right.
property.
Okay,
All
property,
right.
here we go, objective. Transform undeveloped property into multifunctional, inclusive, flexible, and sustainable space for LLD programming and patron recreation for all ages. There's 5 bullet points here.
So on that first statement, patron recreation, do we want to say community recreation since it's going to be a public, is it a public park? Will it be public or will it be strictly a library park that can,
I mean, there's still patrons when they use it.
yeah, I guess.
They're of the
Yeah.
library.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to use the word recreation?
I mean,
What says the committee?
it's an outdoor space. I'm assuming that people are going to be recreating, even if it's just walking or jogging or rolling around.
Would you rather it be like use? What would you like? What would be an alternative?
I like the word use. I don't know, I think recreation leads me to believe that it's a,
Pickleball court?
Well, and not necessarily a place to go hang and read.
right,
Right.
Recreation to me feels more active,
yeah.
and I might want to go and just enjoy the space and read and relax.
Like a quieter nature space.
I also don't want anyone to think it's going to be exclusively quiet because
No,
you
it's outside.
Right, exactly. That's why I'm a little bit torn. I understand exactly what you're
Yeah.
saying, but at the same time, if someone comes and expects to shush everybody who's walking around, that's
That's true.
Well, that's why I think you
Yes.
call it community, so
Okay.
it's open to, it's clear that it's not just like, coming in the library, it's not it's an open space. That's the way I look at it. I feel like it just seems to me like a
but
patron.
it's still a library space.
Yeah, it's not just,
It's not like you can't just pop
It's
up
not
a tent there and have a
But you
picnic.
can access it anytime. It's not gonna have a gate on there.
or
Is
is
it?
it?
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of changes
I'm
it,
okay
but if
with-
it's open.
I think patron use for all ages is
Use
probably
is nice, I think.
safer.
I think
Yeah,
use is nice.
Yeah.
Better.
I think so.
So now, for this, it's only focused on the Kingston lot. Do we need to say anything about, like,
The front street.
no, like the current building?
Oh,
Well, it's about
It
undeveloped
is,
property.
but it doesn't specifically say this is only Kingston.
no,
No, but I'm saying
this is
like,
talking about the building that we're in right now.
Oh, I see.
I mean, that would expand the category. We would have to change the objective because this is developed property. I mean, do you want to go broader to this current facility? I mean, we just renovated it, but
yeah, I wasn't sure. I just, when I was
I-
thinking property, I was thinking like
Everything.
everything,
Yeah, me
so-
too.
Well, my thought is that we still have the facility report, right? We have a 10-year plan and that's primarily for this facility. So I don't know how much interest or blending of the roles there needs to be there.
And most of the feedback from the focus groups in the survey really focused on
Right.
the Kingston lot, because we were asking them
Mhm.
specifically
Right.
about that.
Right, right.
Do we want to call it outdoor space too, so that we are clear that it is outdoor space that we're talking about?
In the objective,
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that makes it then kind of line up a little bit better,
so transform undeveloped outdoor property.
or into a multifunctional outdoor space, I guess maybe, because it is going to be an outdoor space that we're looking to.
Before space.
Yeah, so transform underdeveloped property into a multifunctional, inclusive, flexible, and sustainable outdoor space for Lisle Library program.
Are we all okay with property being just the Kingston lot and not talking about anything that's happening here?
Yes,
I am.
I am.
Mhm.
I am.
I just wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page with that before
Yeah.
we went further. Okay.
So then that clarifies that that's what we're talking about versus doing anything in here. I think if you add outdoor.
I'm good with outdoor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did we do that?
Well,
Not you. As a general we.
So I'm gonna go back to this, because now it says patrons/residents can gather and enjoy the outdoors. So do we wanna say in the first statement, patrons and residents, or we
I
wanna
think
take
we just-
residents out and just leave it patrons?
Just be patrons.
I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
gonna just pick away at that, guys.
Well, that's good. Keep it consistent.
I don't know if we need the first bullet point because we're already.
Okay, thank you.
Doing
I am
that.
glad that I'm not the only one who thought that way. I was thinking we could
Commission
just
professional
remove that
assistance
one.
to achieve objective, like we're already doing.
We're already
it.
doing
I don't
it.
think that needs to be included in
it
here.
just tells the public that we are
That we're doing
that,
it?
and
That's
I
true.
pulled it from whoever put it in, because that was in our previous strategic plan when we talked about renovating.
Okay,
We just let the public know we are hiring professionals, it's not
that's
just like.
true. That's a good point. You're right. We've
Okay.
said that on a couple of other occasions that we are reflecting the activities we're already doing.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think this is the only time though that when we say something about achieving the objective, so I feel like the wording of it, maybe we could adjust
Okay, that's
it
fine.
instead of to achieve objective,
Right.
just because everything else is kinda,
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
know, different words.
Right.
What would you like? I don't know. Something? So if I look at the notes, let's see, Commission for Professional Assistance achieves.
To design,
To develop property, maybe.
Design and develop.
To design and develop.
Property, right?
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
Or, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And the second one, do you want to add like enjoy the outdoors on their own? Because we're having a place where they can come for programs, but also come and enjoy the space on their own.
I think they'll do that regardless.
Yeah.
Well, it does say, it has also in there, while also creating a welcoming environment. So include a program space while also creating a welcoming environment where patrons can gather and enjoy the outdoors. So I feel like that right there says you can come.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 and 4,
Say the same thing.
well, I mean, yes, because utilize feedback from community engagement survey and focus groups to reach desired amenities, but then also we're saying install seating, that's the stuff that came out of
Mm-hmm.
Right.
those.
When I put those in there, I was like, I wanna see what everybody says,
Mhm.
because they sound like they're saying the same thing. One is
Yeah.
more specific, one is more general.
Yeah,
Right.
one of them feels a little too specific for this
Mhm.
level.
So number 4, we don't need, I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think so. I think that's fine. I think, again, we've talked about being a little more broad, and that
Mhm.
accomplishes that. Amenities is a very
Because of the fact that
inclusive term.
we've
Yes.
been being more broad in the other ones, we're trying to not be so specific or narrow, so I think that's good to get rid of that.
On number 3, would you consider changing the word reach to offer?
Uh,
I like that.
mm-hmm. On the final one, do we want to eliminate easily? Because I don't know if we can define easily. It'll be accessible.
Oh.
I don't know how easy, like, you can
With
get
money,
there.
you can define and.
That's true. That's true. I just don't want someone to say you did not build a covered walkway from the second floor
Right.
directly to
Yeah.
the
Right, and this isn't
Uh-huh.
easy for me,
Right.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So,
accessible
yeah,
is,
just accessible.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anything else on that from anyone?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Okay, great work,
Wow.
Tatiana, on taking all, yeah, but you,
So many great ideas.
yeah, you
Thank
had to sift through it all.
Anything else for the good of the group?
I feel good.
Okay, all right, well then,
Are we closing?
yes.
I will put this all together. I
Thank
will
you.
send out emails about another meeting where it looks a little nicer. We have our president's letter. I'll put in the boilerplate stuff about how many meetings we've had, who's on this committee and everything. And
Great.
All right,
Look forward to it.
beautiful, thank you.
So then, the last item on the agenda is to adjourn. May I have a motion in a second?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
May I have a motion in a second, all in favor?
Good job.
Wait.
Okay, we are adjourned at 8:12.